Hi, I'm Josh Cadillac, and welcome to my podcast, Know Your Shit. I've been blessed to see great success as well as seeing the bottom up close and personal in 2008. And if there's one lesson I've learned is that if you want to have success and differentiate yourself from everyone else out there, you need to know your shit. As a successful real estate and crypto investor and an educator, it drives me insane that people do not immerse themselves in their craft. Everyone is so busy advertising and testing new sales techniques, they forget the most important thing, the product. Here I want to talk to the folks that got this right, the most successful people in the world in every industry. Bring them to you and find out what they learned in their business that made it great. When you listen to my podcast, you will know for sure that the topics and experts we have on have one thing in common. They know their shit.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Know Your Shit podcast, where our knowledge and pride in what we do drives us to be excellent. My name is Josh Cadillac, and I'll be in the driver's seat today as we strive to learn how to stop doing deals and start closing for life. We have a great show for you today, and without further ado, let me introduce our guest today. We have a great guest for you today, Richard Barbara. Richard's got a laundry list of accomplishments, but let's just start with asking Richard, why don't you tell us, Richard, in your mind, bud, what do you do?
Josh, first, man, thanks for having me on the show. I really admire everything you do. You're very good at it, not the least of which your real estate educator credentials. But thanks for having me on the show. And man, you know, I'm a lawyer. Sometimes I think I'm a glorified babysitter, but most of the time I think that my job is to solve problems. So, the term fixer has taken on a negative connotation, as I think we know. But that wasn't always the case. There's a great movie that when I was a kid, I didn't realize that, well, not a kid, but when I was a younger man, I didn't realize I was going to like it as much as I do now, but it's called Michael Clayton. And it's a great George Clooney movie where, he's like one of these lawyers at one of these firms and he's the firm's fixer. So basically, whenever anything goes sideways that nobody really, conventional solutions aren't going to work, they call Michael Clayton and Michael comes in and kind of does his thing. So that's basically what I do. I'm a glorified babysitter and I'm basically a problem solver with a law license, so on a day-to-day basis, I'm happy and excited to report that I do no 2 days look alike. Today, I got to work on restaurants. Tonight I might have to do some loan documents. Tomorrow I'm meeting with some guys on a software deal. And so, I do different things every day. I don't have a traditional law practice. I keep a very small law practice where I do some traditional legal work for a very, very, very small list of clients, like, a bank or two, something like that. And then, most of my time is spent as the in-house general counsel for a guy named Rodney Barreto and all the Barreto Group enterprises. There's lots of those. And so he keeps me very busy. He's the chairman of the Super Bowl. He's the chairman of the Florida Fish and Wildlife Commission. He's got governmental consulting, hard money, hospitality vertical. So, on 95% of my day is usually kept running, keeping Rodney's trains on time, as I like to call it. Nice. And then we try to mix in some more mundane, work when I'm not doing that. But that's typically it, man. A glorified babysitting problem solver.
Love it, man. I gotta say, I think that in general, when I'm teaching agents about real estate, I say, you're under the misconception that our business is a business that has to do with selling properties. We are glorified follow-up. This is a follow-up business. Your job as a real estate agent is 100% problem solving and just following up and making sure everybody else is doing what they're supposed to do.
That's right.
Come with a pooper scooper, because you're literally going behind people with a pooper scooper, making sure they're doing what they're supposed to do. And when it exceeds the agent's capability to do that, it goes to the attorney. Usually the attorney is the one that now has to take and follow up when the agent screwed things up too much on their own with that process. So I know that what you do is an integral part of surviving what we know is not usually a straight and easy process to get a transaction from start to finish. So let me ask you this, Rich. What got you started doing this? When did you know you wanted to do this, and what got you started?
You know, man, I can honestly say that I have the good fortune that I never once in life imagined myself being anything other than a lawyer. I don't know if that's a function of my complete lack of imagination, okay? Or, you know, if it's like my telos, you know what telos is? It's, you know, that Aristotelian. And for our listeners, I know Josh knows because Josh has read everything. But for maybe for some of our listeners, telos was an Aristotelian concept that he was like, you know, a chicken embryo will only develop into a chicken. Like it will never develop into anything else. And he kind of felt that this concept is something like destiny, but more scientific. You know, so it could be the telos or it could be my complete lack of imagination, but I never wanted to be anything else. Maybe when I was a real young man, I thought I'd be a baseball player or something ridiculous like that. But it didn't take long, you know, maybe 9th grade, 8th grade, to realize that that was never going to happen.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I thought I wanted to be a lawyer because I used to think that it would be much better to solve other people's problems. I was like, man, I'll be a lawyer and I'll solve other people's problems. Little did I realize that that's the worst possible situation that you could be in. Like, yeah, I'd much rather just deal with my problems, you know,
Right.
Dealing with other people's problems. I mean, I had it all wrong, you know, it's a nightmare. And then when I was a, you know, like a kiddish, you know, growing up, I saw the movie A Few Good Men. And man, I loved that movie. I mean, everything about it to me, you know, and I was a big Tom Cruise fan too, so still am. So, you know, that was it. I mean, that's just kind of what I wanted to do, you know, and for a while, it might not have happened because I was at the link when I got kicked out of high school and all that. So it wasn't clear that I was going to have the academic chops to get through all that school. But, you know, like I said, wonders never cease. And so we made it, you know.
Beautiful. And so then the question is, because it seems like you genuinely enjoy what you do. Even as I see you talking about it, you're smiling, you seem to like what you do. And that very much plays into the whole idea of telos and occupation and kind of having a blueprint pre-programmed of how you are and what you're here to do. But what do you think makes you good at it?
Man, first, I like to think I'm good at it. I don't know. There's no like, it's not, you know, lawyering. Anytime you see lawyers post about like super lawyers, okay, or like legal elite or things like that, those are like largely paid for awards. It's embarrassing, okay? And by the way, I don't mean to, like, you can't really go to super lawyers and say, hey, I want to pay to be a super lawyer. But what happens is, you know, the ballots go out and then like every lawyer in town is emailing all their friends, hey guys, if you think it's appropriate, vote for me, you know? And so like, and I don't know the answer, but it probably takes like 8 votes. Okay, so if you got like 8, you know, asshole friends of yours that'll say, hey, this guy's great, whatever, you probably get it. So I don't know, you know, I like to think I'm good at it. Obviously, the NFL, the PGA Tour, you know, all pro sports, they have like a system, they have ranking, they have people commenting on it. So there's slightly more by way of verifiable empirical data of being good. But I mean, look, I've had more success than I've had failure, let's put it that way, in my professional life. And I think, honestly, it's a function of fear, primarily fear, the fear of being unprepared, the fear of doing something wrong, you know, the fear of violating, you know, like the ethical obligation to provide competent representation. It's literally rule 4, it's like 4-1 or 4.1 of the rules regulating the Florida bar, which is like our ethical rules, which is that you owe a duty of competence to your clients. And so in the law, you know, I don't think people make it all the time. But by the way, in every industry we have people that are probably, and I think sometimes even great lawyers impliedly violate that obligation, because, you know, we do also call it the practice of law. Okay, so like when you get out of school, you may know enough to graduate, you may know enough to pass the bar, but do you really know how to like perform an operation? You know, like, but then again, everybody has their first time, right?
Yeah.
And their second and their fifth. So I don't mean that like when you get out of school, you know, you're the best and like you can do it and no problems. What I mean is you have to want to.
Yeah.
You have to have that commitment. You have to worry about it. You have to continue honing your craft, you know, and like I said, the law, you know, nobody usually dies because of what their lawyer does or doesn't do. In medicine, where it's like a nice parallel Hippocratic oath, and you know, they all have an ethic, a governing body of ethics and things like that. And they also call it the medical practice as well.
Yep.
So, you know, you'd like to think that those guys and gals take it a little bit more seriously than my colleagues do, and I do. But you know, that's the thing. That's the motivation, man. You know, when I was a young lawyer and I was handling things that I thought were way above my head. And, you know, I for many months at a time, I never once had a solid movement, you know, like as a result. So, you know, you gotta prepare, you gotta read, you know, you gotta be aware, you gotta think critically, which is a vanishing talent. And, you know, and those are the things that you do. And I think if you do that often enough and consistently enough, then you eventually become proficient, let's say. Maybe not good, you become proficient. The other thing is, I firmly believe, man, you got to play with the toys God gives you. Mm-hmm. Okay. In my case, it's not physique. It's not a full head of hair. Okay. I can't throw a football 80 yards. Okay, the women aren't falling over when they see me because of my incredible good looks. You know, I got a big mouth. I'm a quick thinker. I'm very persuasive, you know, or so I've been told. And those things work well in my business, you know. And so, you know, I think, you know, again, my fear being a huge motivator, fear of disappointing the client, fear of doing things incorrectly, fear of making myself look like an idiot, coupled with, like I said, by the way, I'm a math idiot. So I'm terrible at math. I was very good historically, reading comprehension, spelling, you know, things of that nature. I always outperformed people. So, you know, it was like, it's just like, hey, the skills, you know, and yeah, you know, it's very hard. Like if you have, you know, if you're dyslexic, being a lawyer is going to be hard.
It's going to be really tough. Yeah. Well, I really love that actually, Richard, because it's such an honest answer, and I can 100% totally feel what you're talking about. Because fear, to me, many highly successful people, fear is one of the prime motivators because they don't want to screw up, they don't want to make a mistake, and that fear gives you the edge to take and really perform better than the folks that don't have that extra juice. And that's what I was going to ask, what gives you that edge? But I mean, that seems like it's the secret sauce. I know for me, it was very much the same thing when I started this business. I was, you know, transactions that are, for people, are huge transactions they're making, and they're looking at me to know the answers. How can I not know the freaking answers? If I don't know the answers, I got to get out of the way. I got to go get help. I got to go figure out a way to get this done the right way. Because the one thing that couldn't happen is that the customer not be represented properly. That's the one thing that's unacceptable.
Yeah, and by the way, something you said too, you were like, you seem happy, you seem like you're enjoying it. I got to tell you, that's very new, okay? I mean, I've been practicing law for 17 years, and I'll tell you what, man, for a solid 10 of the 17 years, I hated life. I wanted to choke my guidance counselor on sight, okay? Which was just a funny line because, like I told you, I never thought about being anything else. So it's not like I ever sat with a guidance counselor who was like, you know, you'd be a good lawyer. No. It's just funny to say. But I was actually very unhappy, and I think that was part of, number one, the time I started practicing law in 2006, and 2 years later we had the Great Recession. Which it's not that there wasn't work for lawyers. Lawyers are the kind of bastard that everybody hates because, like, when things are good, there's work, and when things are bad, there's work. Okay, so I guess that's the reward for doing all the school in the world, right? But you know, it's not enough. Okay, to have work is not enough. So it was a beating. I was routinely over my head. You're always the youngest lawyer in the room. You know, the clients don't like to pay. Okay, you know, paying a lawyer is like buying Advil. Okay, nobody ever wants to spend $15 on Advil. You fucking have a headache and you need Advil. Okay, so you know, this is not a business that people like spending money on. In fact, there's a great book. It's called Swimming with Sharks: The Rise and Fall of Finley Cumble, which was an incredible firm from a certain point of view. and there's one of the lawyers dies in the true story, guy dies. And so, they go to the funeral, and on the way back, the main partners are all in a limo. This is in New York. And the main guy, the main mercenary, says to the lawyer who was absorbing all the dead lawyer's work, he's like, hey, on Monday, you got to get bills out. And, to these clients. And the lawyer was like, Jesus Christ, this guy's not even cold. I mean, can we give it a minute before we send the bills out? And the guy turns and says to him, he goes, listen, the only thing people hate more than paying their lawyers is paying their ex-lawyers. So if you don't get the bills out, I'm going to put you in that same box with that guy, and so, and it's a true statement, so it was a hard time. And then at about year 10, I think that's when the law gods are like, all right, your suffering it's not that it's complete, but we're going to teach you to have a new tolerance for suffering. And we're going to let you enjoy the disproportional suffering of others. Okay, it is now time for others to suffer like you suffered. And so you get to be the asshole, the judges, the other lawyers in town, you're not getting to know everyone on day one, and so it was about 7 years ago I started enjoying it. And then when I joined Rodney full time, that's when things really got good for me. So yeah, now I enjoy it. Now I love it. Now I love what I do. I don't love everything I have to do.
Right.
But as a general premise, I'm finally having a good time.
So your vocation is an asset in your life, which is in a wonderful place to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let me ask you this: if we're to take a step back from the process, and if I was to ask you what the most important thing you learned along the way was, what would you say that is for you?
Man, the most important thing I've learned along the way is that your word is the only thing that you will have with you, especially in my business. And by the way, I think it's true in most others.
Sure.
But you have to be a straight up person. It's like borrowing from Scarface. When the older drug dealer is trying to teach Tony a lesson. And he's like, in this business, you have to fly straight. Only the people who fly straight will last. Okay. Mm-hmm. And, I have worked very hard to follow what for me is rule number one. Rule number one is only make promises that you can keep.
Yeah.
Okay. That's my simple philosophy. And to this day, it's worked out for me. Now I'm reaping the benefits. For a long time, I felt that doing that always put me at the short end of the stick, if you will.
Sure.
Okay, but now, man, I can't tell you how often I solve a problem just by picking up the phone and calling my colleague on the other side who has dealt with me, who knows me. And if they haven't dealt with me or know me personally, they've heard of the way I am, and they can ask one of their colleagues who more than likely has dealt with me or spoken to me. And if I tell you, hey, this is the way it's going to go, okay, barring an asteroid, sudden death, or unbelievably unforeseeable circumstances, it's a safe bet. And that really matters in my business, man. I mean, it matters. It matters. It's in spades. It's paid back in spades.
Well, I mean, it's really the payoff of an investment you've been making for years and years and years, and that's really, most people don't have the time to forego the immediate benefit of just doing the expedient to take and recognize that reputation that you build over time. That thing is and especially in today's world, is such an unusual thing to find. Yep. That when people see it and they're like, hey, no, this guy said it, you can take that to the bank. A stand-up guy, a straight up guy, you're an outlier.
Vanishing breed, as they say.
Absolutely. And it's such a commodity. That even people that aren't straight up, people want to work with people like that, even if they're not straight up shooters, because they want people they can actually depend upon.
Because they know I might screw him, but I know he's unlikely to screw me.
Exactly. So let me ask you this: what makes you passionate about what you do? What makes it good for you?
So, man, I enjoy the success of others. Okay. And I want to be a part of that. So, like take my 95% job now, which is, the Rodney gig, as I call it. And dude, the guy is a guy that in my estimation has earned, okay, the I don't want to say the right, but I mean the place, okay, to have the success he has, to enjoy the life he's built for himself. And in my view, that goes with being able to have a guy like me around.
Mm-hmm.
And like that's a little bit of maybe pride, a little bit of ego, but it's like I hang out with these guys, and it was very funny. Like when I first came on to work with him 5 years ago, we went to dinner with him and a guy that it's like a have and a have more. Okay, I mean the guy's like, the other guy was like a billion. And we're there and we're talking, and Rodney's telling the guy how he brought me on and what I do. And then they started to have this conversation amongst themselves about how, oh yeah, he's like, oh yeah, the minute I made my first big deal and I had this, I went and got myself a guy like this, an in-house guy. And it's like, I was laughing so hard that I was like, look, they both went out and got themselves a little Mexican that knows how to read real good. You know what I mean? And I know it sounds terrible, but I wasn't at all offended. I was flattered by the conversation, So man, I take pride in like making sure that my guy knows that he can sleep, bro, that I'm stressing it almost as much as he is. I would never say as much or more, because obviously, it's his, but man, I like being loyal. I like being part of a team. I like feeling like I have a value, and I like watching my work pay off handsomely for my boss, for my partner, for my, for my staff. That's what I like. So it's like, I want my people to be able to go out and say, yeah, I work for Richard Barber. And people are like, oh shit, you work for Richard Barber, you must know what you're doing. Similarly, I go out and I'm Rodney Barretto's lawyer. It's like, listen, all of a sudden it's like I fucking walk on water. You did this for Rodney, you can definitely do it for me. And then the people that I'm able to meet, and then show them that, again, lots of people have in-house lawyers, and most of the time you don't let them out of the office. Right. So, but my guy has sufficient confidence in me that I'm able to be like at the forefront of some very cool things. Like I routinely take spy shots on my phone of where I am and who I'm with, so that I can make fun of my father, who's like a simple Cuban. Like I'll send them the photos and I'll be like, look, your daughter with the governor. Look at the fucking heights to which I've taken you plebeian fucking islanders. And of course, he's no fun to make fun of, because he's like, I'm so proud of you, Rich. I'm like, no, man, not what you were supposed to say. I'm fucking making fun of you, goddamn.
What did you got Jesus around for the return of fire?
Exactly. Jesus will be like, no, you're humble. It's not that I'm not humble, it's that you're incredibly stupid. But so yeah, man, that's what I think it is for me. And like I said, I like to do things well. I mean, my old man, he taught me growing up. He's like, look, if you're gonna be the biggest piece of shit, just be the best. Be the best piece of shit that you can be.
Something similar about sweeping floors. I hear it, and it's, do whatever you do well as a reflection of who you are. The thing I've settled on recently is the idea that every day we're writing the history of our lives. If you want to look back with pride on what you've done, write a good history today. It's just a collection of those histories you write every single day that spells where we're winding up. So let me ask you this, Rich, what are you most proud of in business?
What am I most proud of in business? Man, you know what I think I'm most proud of? That I've tried to run businesses in a way that the people who work here feel good about, working here. The work might suck most of the time. It's not sexy, but man, my people have been here a long time, and I'll kill for them, and vice versa. I mean, I'm very blessed. I got staff, they fucking answer the phone at all hours of the fucking day. They reply to emails. They work hard. They do things I don't ask them to do. I got to kick them out of the office sometimes. Okay. And I think that I like to think that that's a function of kind of doing or always trying to do the right thing. Okay. So, I'm a small operation, all things considered. Okay. And man, we have great benefits here. I think like we provide 100% health to everyone who works here. And it's not an HMO, it's a PPO. You want an even better plan, you can pay for that. No problem. But we've given bonuses, we've given raises every year without exception, even through the hard times. And so, it's for me, the business is not about how to make myself rich. It's about how to make us not rich, just better. Okay.
Sure. You take care of your people. Yeah.
If we can get rich, that's great. But here, and it's true in Rodney's organizations as well, which, now we're kind of more integrated, but we have an all ships rise together type mentality, and I don't think that's true of most places. I think internet meme culture will tell you that, right? The Great Resignation will tell you that, and all these things that we're seeing. And I have very little patience for these big companies and these guys that like when health insurance became mandatory, like when Obamacare passed, employers had to provide health. Listen, that was only a fucking problem if you weren't doing it. Okay. And if you're a small operation, I get it. But you know what? I'm a small operation too. So if you're a small operation, I get it more. If you're a big operation, you're just an asshole. Okay. It just means a little less for you, asshole. Okay. And so, I just, that's just my view on it. So I'm proud of the fact that my assistant is Monique has been with me 15 years. And I joke about it all the time. But if she tells me, oh, we got to get married, I got to go to my wife and say, hey, we're fucking Mormons now. Okay. Because, I can't, because if these people don't want to come to work, it's like, oh, yeah, turn off the lights and go to the beach. Okay. I can't do the things I'm out there doing unless they're doing the things.
Backstopping you. No, you've created a culture that works together. You've created a work family, if you will, which is, I mean that in the sense of family, the way that my father, the old school Italian, meant, hey, the family needs something, you take care of the family first. It's
right.
It's just it. Nobody bleeds alone. No way.
Exactly.
And so that's missing in this world of mercenaries that we become. We've become a mercenary culture very much. I don't like my boss at work.
Their own, bro.
Absolutely. So let me ask you this, Rich. If you had, you're in a place now where you've accomplished some things, you built the business, you're proud of, you got good stuff going on. What would you give, if you could give one piece of advice to somebody listening to this, one thing kind of as a step back from all this to say, hey, look, you know what, this is the secret sauce. This is the thing that I think is most meaningful. What would that be?
Discipline, man. You must have discipline. You must do the things that are required every day. Okay. And like everything else in this life, God's irony is that there is no instant reward.
Yep.
So I try to tell people that developing a good business is a lot like developing fitness. Okay. Yep. And it's like, if you go to a personal trainer, these poor personal trainers, they're in the worst fucking business there is. Okay. Because people will go get their check engine light fixed before like they get their own check engine light looked at.
Dealt with. Yep.
And that to me makes no sense. That's just a function of the rat race culture that we have. But I tell people all the time, man, if you're a trainer, okay, I used to be first of all, I'm an inner fact guy. Okay. Oh. And yeah. And like I used to, it got out of control. Okay. When my daughter was born or when my wife was pregnant, and I was very heavy, still wasn't happy. Okay. In my business. I think that was part of the reason. Sure. Let's put it this way. I was new to happiness. Okay. I was just entering the professional happiness realm. Okay. And I was very heavy from the years of professional unhappiness. Okay. Sure. And I remember that if you're a fat guy, okay, or a fat girl, I know you can't say that shit nowadays, but these people do exist, just like there are shithole countries. Okay. So, if you're a fat guy and you go to a trainer and you go to sign up at the gym, the guy's going to sell you a 10 session package. Okay, that's the common. I don't know where these fucking trainers came up with that, but they sat there and like the industry came up with, we sell packages of 10.
Yep.
And so if I say to the personal trainer, what happens, bro? So you give me 10 sessions, you're gonna tell me what I should eat, right? If you're that kind of trainer, the nutritionist, mix. Is that what happens after 10 sessions? That's one of the few businesses in life that the guy has to tell you absolutely nothing. And you're like, really? Well, then what the fuck am I spending this money for? And you're like, yeah, bro, because it's not that my product, my 10 sessions and my recommendations aren't going to get you results. It's that there is no such thing as results in exchange for 10 sessions and 10 sessions worth of eating right. Okay. Right. Not that you can't buy a successful product from me. You can't get it anywhere. In fact, 20 sessions isn't going to do it either. Not 30. Now, of course, if you're a trainer, you talk like that, you're going to talk everybody out of your fucking gym. But the reality is, if you wanted to be honest with yourself and you're a fat fuck, okay, and you're there, dude, and your belt buckle is holding the pants, but the button's not buttoned, okay? You know who you are, okay? And if you're fucking out there, bro, and you say to the guy, hey, how many sessions is it going to take to get to where, and here's where I want to be. I'm not going to the fucking Olympics. I just don't want to die. Okay. So how many sessions is going to take? The guy's going to say 1,000 sessions, my guy.
Yep.
1,000 sessions to get to where you want to go. And why do I say 1,000? You might be able to do it in 500, but fuck, let's factor in some human error, some cheat days. Okay, shit like that. So it's going to be 1,000 sessions. And you're like, fuck, but if I'm only going to work out 3 times a week, 1,000 sessions, I mean, we're talking fucking years. And the guy's got to look at you and he's got to be like, that's right.
That's right.
We're talking fucking years. And then years, after a year where you get to where you want to be. By the way, the hard work is now over, but now the maintenance work begins.
Yep.
Right? Because you're not going to get to where you're going and have put in all this fucking time and then go back to your pancakes every day. You're changing, bro. Lifestyle change. If you wake up in the morning, you put sugar in your coffee, guess what, bro? You just became a black coffee drinker. And people are like, fuck, I hadn't thought about that. And so that's the problem. And by the way, there's like a great Twain quote on this. I don't have it memorized, but it's one of my favorites. The guy says something like, every day you must do something that you don't want to do. And this is the routine for obtaining success, basically. Okay, it's like, that's how you learn discipline, by getting up every fucking day and doing the things you don't want to do. Very few people get to wake up and do whatever the fuck they want. Okay. Yep. And in fact, even those people don't do it. So most people are like, no, have I had Elon Musk money? I do whatever the fuck I want. Bro, Elon Musk wakes up and goes to work just to figure out what the fuck else he's going to invent. Can you imagine a guy with enough money to buy all 4 major sports leagues, not teams? The guy could buy every team in every league and still have cash left over. And the guy's fucking waking up. He's like, no, today I'm going to make a satellite that fucking Putin can't knock down. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I mean, dude, so, you have to, the trick is discipline. And if you don't want to put it in, don't put it in. Like, listen, don't waste your money. Don't go to the fucking gym if you're going to leave and have McDonald's. Bro, just don't go to the gym. The fuck you going to the gym for?
So try to mitigate as best you can, I guess. No, you're right. Do the work. You got to do the work. It's how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. You got to understand it's a giant thing. It's never going to not be a giant.
I love that one. I've never heard that. That's great.
Yeah, it's the same as how do you walk across China? Well, it starts with putting one foot in front of the other. You know, it's a long walk, but the journey starts the same way. You got to stick one foot in front of the other.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a long slog. So couple of rapid fire ones here that should be pretty easy. Obviously, you're a busy guy. You always got stuff going on. What's next for you? What's the next project that you've got kind of rolling around in the back of your head, or maybe you have in process right now? What's the next thing that's got your interest peaked?
So, we now, and when I say we, I mean, like the Barreto group of business conquest. We now want to get into businesses that we think are smarter. And when I say smarter, I mean they're less resilient on humans, okay? Or less reliant on humans.
Sure.
Okay?
Makes
So
sense.
whether it's some e-commerce, okay, or whether it's automation type businesses, whether it's something in the tech world, software, I got a guy showing me something that's very cool, like a Google for your business.
Mm.
And it's like, imagine you're a lawyer and it's like, that 4 years ago I sent an email on some shit and I can remember the key words that I used because I had to file a very rare motion, let's say. Okay. And we call it like a fabre. Okay. That's a kind of defendant that you allege in a certain kind of case. And imagine you launch like a little dashboard that resides on the AWS and it's your little firm dashboard and you type fabre and it instantly brings you in digestible format, images, folders, emails, documents, motions, all organized, like it crawls for you, as opposed to having to fucking drill down, like, oh, where do I save these motions? In my motions folder, and where? And then this subfolder, you go to your like the time we spent indexing, right, would basically kind of go away. Something like that would be very cool. We want to do something where we're sleeping, and you're hearing ching, 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 like on your Square thing or something like that.
Yeah. No, I mean, more and more industries are falling into that heading. I mean, even trucking at some point in the fairly near future is going to be,
because we have enough of the labor intensive stuff. I mean, we do real estate closings, still can't get rid of the humans there, okay? And it's a very day-to-day tedious process. We loan money, right? Can't get rid of the humans there because we gotta be fucking calling people to write their checks. We have restaurants, definitely can't get rid of the humans there. I mean, that's a fucking nightmare, and so that's kind of what's next is stuff that hopefully will become new bread and butter type businesses,
Gotcha. Interesting. So we talked a lot about business. One personal question: what do you do to unwind? What is the thing that detoxes for you and gives you a break from it?
Man, I would have never thought 10 years ago, I would have never thought I'd be the guy to say this, but my family. I mean, 10 years ago, I'd have heard somebody say that and I'd be like, what a soft ass, but be like, your family pussy, but man, but really it is, bro. My daughter, she's 6 years old, man, she runs my entire existence. I've never done anything so good as to be, as to be her dad. I'm incredibly blessed by it. It's the best possible time. She's athletic. Obviously she's not going to play quarterback. Okay. Even if we're living in a world where chicks play quarterback, let me say this. Okay. That's not really what I want. She wants to play quarterback. Fucking great. Okay. But that's certainly not what I had in mind. Okay. And by the way, I'm not suggesting she needs to be a Disney princess either. I'm just saying quarterback is just not, what I, like never once growing up was I'm like, I'm going to have a daughter who's going to be quarterback. Okay. Yeah. I did think I might have a son and he'd play quarterback. Okay. Yeah. And then I remembered, no, man, you're 5'7" and you're fucking Cuban. Are there even any Cuban quarterbacks? I don't think so. So that's
demographic pioneering would be required.
Yeah. That's the detox, man. Family time, golf. I love golf. The greatest game ever played. And, those are the things that make me tick, man. Being able to give my daughter a better life than I had, even though I had a good life, always have. And, and just doing good things, man. It's building things, that's what gives me the smile.
Last question. Folks say, hey, you know what? That Richard Barber guy sounds like a cool cat. I'd love to take him and work with him. Where can people find you if they wanted to find you?
So my office is in Coral Gables, Florida. I have a website. It's www.rlbpa.com. That's just a small little website. We do nothing by way of optimization, but you can find me on there. The Florida Bar, which is very much into security and safety of its members. Read sarcasm. Has everything on its website on me, where you can find everything from discipline history, which of course should be on there, and I'm pleased to report there's none, but to office address, contact information, website, Florida bar number, things of that nature. So, I think I can say you can Google, if you Google Richard L. Barbara, you'll get like one hit. It's like this asshole lawyer in Miami, and then everything else that like interprets Barbara to be my first name. You know, so if you type Richard, you go places, hey, what's your last name? Barbara. Last name? I'm like, yeah, bro, it's Barbara, fucking A. So you know, I'm easy to find.
And if not there, I know on the board of FREC because I've got.
Oh yeah, on the board of FREC. I forgot about that. Yeah, I'm a Florida real estate commissioner. I guess you could find it there too. Yeah.
Like people are like, wait a second, I know that guy. I've seen him before.
Yeah, wait, yeah. I usually vote in favor of licensees too, much to the chagrin of my constituents. They're like, does anybody not get in with you? I'm like, yeah, the guy that committed the fucking murder. Yeah. So
you know, I know the people that already have licenses, and honestly, I don't think this guy's any
right.
worse.
Have you been out there? Because I'm out there.
Richard, thank you so much for your time, my friend, and for coming to hang out for a little bit.
Thank you for having me, bro. Appreciate you.